This episode is brought to you by thedolphinwars.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin TV. This is episode 285. We have 15 episodes before episode 300, and we're going to make that a very big event. And it's going to be fun. Tonight is the return of Radio King Dolphin TV, and I have as our special guest reader, we have Agent Pepsi 1. Hello, dear. How are you?
Hey, everybody.
Go ahead.
Doing well.
Good. Glad you actually offered to do this. It's going to be fun tonight. It's going to be fun.
Looking forward to it.
As am I. All right, so before we get started, let us... Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, put a MF out there. This is Fez. He says, King Dolphin TV and all in the chat. Quick update before I head out. Mom is still in the hospital getting blood thinners for the clots in her lungs and leg. Doctor seems pretty... confident. Yes, put a L9 and then Mama Fez to show our support and our prayers for Mama Fez. So L9 and MF. Okay. Thanks for letting me know, John. All right. Okay, so she should be home in a few days. Thanks, all good friends, and for the prayers and good wishes. We're the greatest. All right, thank you. Okay, so before we get started with the reading, if you like the readings, if you like the upcoming interviews, the past interviews, and the fun and frivolity that we have on Just Cuz, please like and subscribe to the channel. And give me a second here. Take care of this little administrative business.
I hope y'all are not picking up the fan that I'm running.
No.
Okay,
if it was, I've got my fan going too. So
yeah, it's like 117 here with the heat index.
Ouch. That's not good.
Yeah, air conditioner's running, the fan is running. It's just, oh my God.
Okay. All right. So as I said, please like, please subscribe, and also, if you are so inclined to help out the channel, please go to the link on the top of the chat and put some ducats in the bucket. That way, it helps out the channel as well as keeps Snorter Poopers from sending his cousins to knock on the door. So, yeah. So that is it. And now let me welcome who all is here. Let's see. Let's see. We've got guesting in the chat. We've got DJ Play Nice. Hello, DJ Play Nice. We've got FKHC 2005. Hi, Tim. We've got Matt G, also known as Taylor, etc., etc., and etc. And that's all the guests right now. Snorter Pooper says it's cousin Vito the Informer. Yep. We don't want Vito coming to visit you. Yeah. So, and then we got my amazing wrenches. And I know I'm going to get a lot of grief in the chat about this, but Sandra's on an away mission right now. So I am solo over here. Well, with Agent Pepsi 1, but I don't have a producer. So it's all me. So be kind, guys. And we've got the first one in, the last one out. Legatus Legionai. Thanks for being here, buddy. One of the stalwarts here. And the aforementioned John Rendell, also known as Leopold 9. So, and he is here. Please, again, if you haven't, please, if you haven't, put a L9 MF out there or an MF, however you want to do it. And then, we've got Max Redstone here. Welcome, Max. And oh God, see, they're already starting. So it's your fault if the whole thing is bad then. No. And then, oh no, the Dolphins unsupervised. Lord help us. And luckily, we have Trike to act as chaperone while Sandra is away. Yep, we got Trike. He is laying around here somewhere, probably waiting for mommy to get home.
And give him treats.
Yep, and get him treats.
Yeah, I know Dipsy's here too, waiting for that. But
Yep. All right. So I think. Oh, I forgot somebody. Can't forget this guy. Yeah. He needs to never be forgotten. Snorter pass. You bark. Dot scream. Hashtag roar. Let's get this reading done. It's going to be a good one tonight because we have a lovely lady here who's going to take things over from the Dolphin. All right. Snort says, I want some treats too. Let's see. And what? Nothing will be as bad as Saturday's show. Yeah, that one was definitely that one. You missed it, Agent Pepsi one. That one took insanity to new levels. Check out the rewind. That was great. All right. Okay, so we're going to get started because this is a long segment. What we've been doing with Radio King Dolphin TV is we have been reading from All's Fair, which is the first book that I wrote, and I decided back when to actually start doing it as audio segments. And since I had a channel, I decided to do it as a serial basis, and thus Radio King Dolphin TV was born. We've had as previous guest readers, we've had the amazing anti-derivative Jill. She has played Tanya Leviando. And we've had Tiger Stripes do Lorena, but unfortunately Tiger Stripes wasn't able to do it anymore. So Fortunately, as I was looking around, I thought of Agent Pepsi 1, who would be a great reader for the part that I have tonight. So I thought of her immediately. And fortunately for me and the Radio King Dolphin TV, she graciously accepted. Again, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And so we're gonna start. We're starting with chapter 5, and we're gonna go to chapter 8. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the reading. Okay. Chapter 5. Jan attended a ground school with the newcomers to the squadron, where it involved orientation in the operation of the wing and how they integrate into the carrier battle group. Also included an extensive review of the systems of his fighter craft and the tactics involved as well as carrier procedures. Each day ended with an examination and review of the emergency procedures. He found out that Hardnose fleeted up to commander and met the new XO, Commander George Spamcan Tomlin. He found out that he was just as tough and experienced as Hardnose. A week later, Jan, clad in his gray flight suit, arrived at the squadron at 0500 hours ship time. As the duty dog made the coffee and prepped the squadron for the day, he started looking at his flight manual to prepare for any questions that may come up. The rest of the flight came in and they began to plan. As the number 2 man in the flight, his job was to confirm the weapons configurations, frequencies, and fuel flows. And Jan completed these tasks just prior to the briefing. He entered the mass briefing room with the rest of the squadron, where they received a spatial condition briefing on asteroid locations and solar wind conditions that could affect the missions. They received an intelligence briefing and a briefing on their missions and a safety briefing. After that, they went into their individual rooms to brief their missions. Jan met the 3 aviators that he would fly with. Lieutenant Dan Beast Randall was the flight lead, and he was hard charging and partied a lot. His altercations were legendary through the wing and sometimes resulted in some counseling from Hardnose. It was rumored that the only reason he still had a billet was that he had incriminating pictures of Connie Hart. The truth was, despite his anti-authority attitude, he was the best flyer in the squadron. Next was number 3, Lieutenant Jamie Specs Rodriguez. He was a short and reserved individual, keen analytical mind, and the perfect counterpoint to Randall. Whereas Randall was the bull in the china shop, Rodriguez was a perfectionist who would order pilots out of the briefing room until their uniforms were perfect. The last aviator in the flight was Lieutenant J.G. Wanda Boots McKay. She was a mystery to Jan and would only speak when spoken and only when it was relevant. Beast said to Jan, "Nugget, your job today is to show me you could fly, fight, and land that beast on the deck in one piece. Maybe if you do a half-assed job, I might recognize your existence. Screw up even once, and you'll regret it. Are we clear, Nugget?" Jan looked him straight in the eye and with an air of confidence said, "Aye, aye, sir." The briefing went as he expected, as Beast peppered him with questions on the plane and mission they were flying. Jan answered them all correctly, and only once did he have to refer to his flight manual to answer a switchology question. This earned him a harangue from Beast, a wink from Specs, and a thumbs up from Boots. They knew that as long as he kept answering the questions correctly, Beast would be relentless in his questioning in order to trip Jan up. Whatever Beast was, he was as much a perfectionist as Specs. After the half-hour briefing, they walked to the duty desk to file the flight plan and get any last-minute conditions over the route of flight and target area. Afterward, they went to the personal equipment room. Jan went to his locker and started to put on his outer suit, the suit that enables him to survive space. While he dressed, Boots came over and punched him in the arm and said, "Don't worry, Nugget. Beast's bite is worse than his bark." Jan smiled and said, "Oh, gee, thanks." He finished by placing his father's old helmet on his head and started the half-hour pre-briefing process. He put his blaster in its holster and donned his harness. After he finished, he walked with his flight mates to the landing deck of the ship. The flight area of the carrier was divided into 3 main areas. On the top of the ship were the landing deck and island. Just under the landing deck was the staging and launch area, which is where the fighters would launch from. This was also where the landing aircraft would be staged prior to taking off again. Below that deck was the hangar deck, where the jetcraft were stored and any maintenance was done. He walked out to the staging area, where he saw his jet for the first time, the sleek and deadly Fighting Ferret EW, tail number 0294. It was the most dangerous attack fighter ever, specially designed to destroy enemy defenses. The name was given by the designers, who designed that the Ferret was a whimsical and innocuous name for a fearsome sand killer. Its design was simplistic. It looked like an old American F-16 on the fuselage, but with no wings and 2 engines. The fighter was painted deep black with stealth material, and the weapons were internally mounted. It had a vertical wing in the rear of the plane, which included the most advanced electronic warfare suite in use and was the true power of the Fighting Ferret. And as a special treat, I actually have, for your viewing pleasure, a model of it, courtesy of Lenrod. This is a Fighting Ferret. Okay. It had a vertical wing in the rear of the plane, which included the most advanced electronic warfare suite in use and was the true power of the Fighting Ferret. The EAS-109 Alpha electronic attack system was a system utilizing over 90 specialized antennas and a powerful supercomputer to bring the entire electromagnetic spectrum to an aviator-friendly format. Once the cords were connected to the flight helmet, an accurate picture of the defenses could be projected onto the helmet-mounted display. The weapons menus were sensitive to eye motion. All the aviator had to do was state over the intercom what weapon he wanted to use and look for the target symbol, and the computer automatically launched the weapon. Jan also had the ability to manually select, target, and aim the missile as a backup to the automated system. The weapon loaded was a training version of the anti-radiation missile 206 series of anti-emission missiles, which were designed to home in on IR, infrared, radar, and laser-guided systems. Because missiles are expensive, they also had conventional bombs, although they were not used a lot because of the obvious threat to the fighter. With the combination of the ordnance, the weapons system, and the aviator, the Fighting Ferret EW was a deadly successor to the title of Wild Weasel, which was the mission of lethal defense suppression that originated in the ancient Vietnam War. To recall their heritage as wild weasels, they were allowed to place WW on their tails as opposed to their fleet designation. Jan did his pre-flight walk, make sure the proper panels were open and nothing was loose. He walked under the fighter to check out the ordnance. He had 1 training anti-radiation missile, 4 training bombs. He checked each weapon to see that it was mounted properly and the safety pins were still there. He did a check of the blaster to ensure it had a training charge. When he completed his walk around, he climbed a ladder to have his plane captain strap him in. He gave the plane captain a thumbs up and turned on the battery power. When he received the proper indications, he started the engines one at a time. The launch deck shuddered under the roar of all the engines. After the engines spooled up, Jan verified the settings on the helmet-mounted display and the backup multifunction display, and was satisfied they were running as they should. He checked that the jet's mission computer was loaded with the parameters. When the jet was ready, he saw the information on the helmet. He put his hands outside the canopy to signify that he was ready, as the plane captain gave him the current launch weight that would be programmed into the catapult. Jan looked to his right and left saw the same thing was happening to his flight mates. He closed his canopy at the specified time. When all 4 canopies of his flight simultaneously came down, Beast started the taxi, and Jan followed, saluting his plane captain as he headed to the catapult area. Jan's flight taxied to the catapult and waited for the other jets that would launch during this evolution. As they waited, the brown shirts made sure there were no problems that prevented the plane from flying. They opened the weapon space, pulled the safety pins that armed the weapons. They signaled they had the pins so that Jan could see his plane was ready to go. Once the last of the planes arrived in the area, the massive pressure doors closed and the outer doors opened, so the fighters were exposed to space. When the air boss confirmed the pressurization was complete, the loaders, clad in green spacesuits, started to attach the jets to one of the 4 catapults. When they were attached on the shuttles, they waited for the final settings to be programmed into them and set their engines to full power, and the catapults shot them out. Once clear of the carrier, they retracted their gear and turned away. Jan took his position behind Jan took his position behind and slightly over Beast's right wing. Specs took his place to the left of Beast with Boots behind and slightly below Specs' wing. When viewed from above, they looked like 4 fingers of a hand, thus the name Finger 4 formation. Beast got on the radio and said, "Talon flight check." Give me a second here. Talon flight check. This was the signal for all flight members to do a post-flight takeoff and report their status to the lead. To check, Jan said after doing a quick check of all his vital instruments. As he heard the other 2 fighters come in, he settled into the flight routine. Their target area, range Zeta 2, was one of a series of range satellites designed by the Space Defense Force to provide realistic weapons training. They were going to Electronic Range Alpha, which was designed for electronic combat. During the flight, Jan concentrated in keeping formation. He updated his navigation system and monitored the status of his weapons as they flew. In the other part of his mind, he flew the route several times, recalled the tactics, procedures, and possible defensive reactions. He always had the ability to detach himself from the here and now and see the future. His instructors said he saw things before they happened and could still keep flying the plane. He called it his instinct. After Jan went through his mental checklist, he confirmed that he was perfectly in position behind Jeep. He then felt something and turned his head to the right. He saw in his mind 4 circular objects approaching the flight. He considered the chewing out he would get from Beast and discounted it. He got on the flight frequency and said, 2, bandits, 6th level. Nugget, stay in formation and shut up, Beast yelled. Jan complied, although he could still see the objects approach. Jan estimated that they would enter sensor range in 5 minutes, so he plotted possible intercept angles and was determined to hold his position in the formation. The formation continued its flight. Jan knew that the enemy had the flight tagged and would kill them all, but until they were on scope, he could do nothing. He just hoped it was not too late. Suddenly, Specs yelled out, confirming Jan's vision. Holy crap, bandits on our 6. Jan instinctively turned hard right into bandits. In the split instance, he saw 4 training drones split into 2 ship formations. The lead drone fired at Boots, which she barely avoided. Jan calmly confirmed that he was barely in range of the wingman. When his display confirmed that it was in gun range, he said in a soft voice, guns. His blaster sent a laser pulse, which impacted on the drone. As Jan engaged his drone, 2 drones converged on Specs and boxed him in. He took 1 hit, which shut down all his weaponry. Beast recovered quickly from his error and engaged on a face shot on 1 drone. The drone avoided it easy, but in the process, Jan had quickly got into a position to kill it. Boots was chased by 2 drones, but she did a split S-climb, which put her behind a drone. She took a shot, which the drone avoided, and quickly turned to make a face shot, which killed her. Beast did a stern reversal into the final drone and took a shot. Thus then, the words "knock it off" showed up on their helmet-mounted displays. They joined back up and assessed their wounds. Because Specs and Boots were shot down, under the rules of engagement, they flew back to base. Jan and Beast continued the flight in silence. There, Jan could sense that Beast was pissed off because he showed him up. Determining that discretion was the better part of valor, he continued running the rest of the mission in his mind. They arrived in Range Alpha, the electronic training range. Beast said on the radio, Talon flight, arm up. The signal for them to ensure their master arm buttons were in the arm position, so the weapons were armed and ready for launch. Jan turned his master arm switch in the arm position, and then he heard the audio warning, danger, weapons are armed, danger, weapons are armed. When he heard that, he confirmed that he was armed in the helmet display. All he would do now is select the proper weapon, open the weapon bay doors, and launch the weapon. After doing his checks, he said, to check. Unlike the normal communication out procedures of double-clicking, this was an answer that the flight lead had to hear before progressing on the attack run. Beast heard the response, so he went on the radio and said, range control, Talon flight of 2, entering restricted operating zone Alpha 2. We request permission to enter the range. This advised the range controllers that what flight was coming in, how many, so the controllers could design the appropriate scenario. Their objective would be to ensure that any enemy threats were either destroyed or were keeping their systems off long enough for a strike package to enter the target area. Talon flight, you are clear for entry into Alpha 2. Time mark is now. Beast got on the radio and said, Talon flight break. Jan made a hard right turn away from Beast. As Jan leveled out, he took 1/2 mile spacing to the right and behind Beast. This way, he could keep a look around his area for air-to-air threats that may try to attack the formation. And Jan was also responsible to monitor the ground threats behind him. Ever since the 20th century, the job of the wild weasels was always a very dangerous one. After all, only someone with a lust for danger or a death wish would willingly fly into the sights of an enemy missile operator and dare them to fire. There were few people willing and able to accomplish this. Beast was one of them, and soon Jan Ando would be added to the ones who could. The tactics they briefed before the flight was simple. First Beast would pop up and wait until an enemy sight emitted. Then Jan stayed low and searched for air-to-air threats. The computers would determine how much of a threat it was. If it was high priority, the computer would indicate that. Based on the threat level at the time, he could shoot or hold off and target another site. After the first shot, he would evade any enemy fire as best he could. After the kill was confirmed, they would switch roles. Both jets were armed with one training missile and 2 practice bombs to simulate the normal load of particle cluster bombs that would open and release hundreds of small energy particle bombs. Beast started his pop-up maneuver and climbed to 500 feet above ground level, AGL. Jan visualized the threat he would be facing, so Beast leveled off when his helmet-mounted display lit up with threats. He evaluated the threats and determined the greatest one to the route. He selected AGM on his helmet display, ordered the missile launch, and announced on the radio, Talon 1, shotgun, which signaled to the controllers that his missile was fired. The bay opened, and if it were a real shot, the missile would have flown away. But since it was not, the bay closed at the specific time. He maneuvered away from the target to give the missile a poor angle to aim at and descend it back down to 250 feet AGL. In the range control office, the officer received a training data link from the fighter signaling the target that the missile was heading for. They would then calculate the range and the time before impact and the impact time. And at impact time, they would signal to the emitter that it was killed, shutting it down and transmitting to Beast he had a kill. Jan saw him level out at 250 feet AGL and started his maneuver, but at this time, the sights were alerted, so they did not emit and fired blind. Jan visualized the firings in advance and jinked as he climbed to 5,000 feet AGL. He noticed that there were no emitters, so he selected the threat recall system, which was a data link to Talon 1 system that received the precise locations of the threats. Once the threat received the link, the computer prioritized the threat and advised him of any high potential threats. He selected the one most dangerous, targeted it with the arm, pressed the trigger, and the warning sounded. He jinked and descended, and as he leveled out, he received his kill signal from the range. Their next weapons attack was a practice bomb run as Beast climbed to 5,000 feet and searched for another emitter. Once he found the emitter, he data linked the position to Jan. Jan selected CBU on the display and started his run at 300 feet, keeping very close eyes to the terrain. When the symbol on his display signaled he was at the optimum release position, he said, bomb away. The warning said, warning, may open, warning, bomb away, warning, pull up, bay closed. Jan pulled up to avoid blast and fragmentation damage. Then the emitter received the data burst from the fighter and turned off as it would have been destroyed by at least some of the bomblets. He then heard Talon 1, shotgun. Jan then knew he was fired upon and realized that he made a mistake. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, his mental systems went into overload. He was concentrating hard on avoiding terrain and fragmentation damage that he lost track of his sight, locking in on him and firing. He continued his erratic turning and braking until he was sure that the missile would have broken lock on him. Since he did not hear the hit warning that would have sounded when the simulated missile hit his fighter, he brought the fighter back down to 200 feet AGL. When Beast came back down, he climbed up looking for a site that he could take his anger out on. One site did come up, was identified as a threat, so he said Talon to shotgun. He did his evasive maneuvers to avoid any missiles that might be blind fired at him. When he got the kill notification, he started back down to 250. This dangerous dance between the fighters and the missile sites continued until 15 minutes after they entered the restricted operator zone. The warning message sounded over their radios. Warning, time is up. Jan climbed to rejoin with Beast, who said on the intercom, Talon flight egressing range. Roger, Talon cleared off. This told them that the range controllers had communicated the results of their mission to their squadron back home. Then they would be available for debriefing when they arrived. As they neared the carrier, Beast said, Talon flight in holding pattern Warhawk. This signaled to the controllers that the flight was in the squadron's designated holding point from the carrier. They would wait until they received the clear to land signal. At that time, they would enter the traffic pattern. Roger, Talon, you are cleared to land. Upon hearing this, Jan and Beast entered the traffic pattern. They did the break over the carrier. As they broke, Beast received the call from the landing system officer telling him to call the ball. Beast saw the ball as well as received the symbols on his display, so he said, Talon, 1 ball. Beast flew the approach to the deck and caught a perfect 3-wire and was quickly guided to the landing elevator. Just then, Beast came on the frequency and said, okay, hotshot, let's see what you got. Turn off your display and do a manual landing. Jan said nothing, turned off his display and the auto landing systems as he entered the base leg and prepared to turn to final. When the LSO queried Jan, he said, 2 call ball. Jan used his instinct to help him focus. He flew the airplane and accomplished each checklist item. His approach was perfect, and at the proper spot on his approach, he put the throttle to idle, started to round out and flare. He caught a perfect 3-wire as well. As he was guided, he heard the LSO say, shit hot, Nugget. When he arrived at the staging area, he saw Beast was already getting his weapons pinned. He taxied to his position, waited as the weapons team opened the bay and pinned his weapons. Once all the aircraft were guided to the staging area, the deck was repressurized so the process could start all over again. Jan glanced over to see the crews approach their craft for the next evolution. He received the signal the weapons were disarmed and the bay doors were closed. So he waited for the flight lead to start taxiing, which would be their signal to move again. He reached his original parking spot where the plane captain marshaled them in and signaled them to shut down his engines. The plane captain mounted the ladder on the side of the fighter as Jan opened the canopy and started to power down his fighter. He finished the post-flight checklist and stood up on his seat and climbed out the ladder. When Jan reached the deck, he took off his helmet and held it in his hand. His hair was matted with sweat. Then the plane captain handed him his flight bag, and he walked to the debrief area. When he got there, he was debriefed on the jet. If there were any maintenance problems, he would identify them at this time so they would start working the problem. Jan had none, so he finished his debrief, headed to the ready room. Beast had a dangerous look on his face. However, Jan looked serene and kept quiet. As he filled in his training paperwork, his mind flew the mission again, from dogfight to the bomb runs through his gaff on the bomb run. They then went to the briefing room, and the briefing began, which was predictably brutal. The one thing Jan took out of the briefing was when Beast poked his chest and yelled, I don't care if there's a Squadron of fighters up our asses. You do not break formation. Jan looked at him, thoroughly chastened, and said, aye, aye, sir. Later, Jan checked the schedule and found he was not scheduled to fly again today. He reviewed all the tactics and flight performance documents. Time went by, and Jan was still studying when his alarm went off, letting him know he needed to check the schedule and then do an inventory of the squadron bar. He went to the board and saw that his section was duty flight tomorrow, and he was the morning dog. As he departed the squadron, he heard Beast brag loudly, I can't believe it. He had tally before anyone else. I never saw a steely-eyed aerial assassin like him. Don't tell him this, but he's my wingman from now on. When he left the squadron, he saw under his name that he had a call sign. It was Steel Eye, which made him smile with pride. When he got to his berth, he saw the communicator chime. He saw Lorena on the screen and saw that she was dressed in cutoffs and a VAQ 909 tank top, which she cut off at the midriff. Jan could tell that she was not wearing a bra, and he was getting turned on, frustrated that he was underway, and she was back at the base teasing him.
Hey, Flyboy. How was your day?
You teased. Well, it was okay for the most part. I thought I had great situational awareness at flight school, but I wasn't even looking at the threats until I saw that one in the last minute. I was so busy climbing the jet up to altitude after the bomb run. But the coolest thing is I have a call sign.
What is it, Ando?
Steel Eye.
Yeah, that fits.
The next day, Jan came to the squadron before everyone else. Once he arrived, he opened the room, made coffee, activated the computers. He read his checklists, prepared for the step briefings he would have to conduct. His watch was going normally as he gave the required briefings and monitored the radios during takeoffs and landings. When he was done 6 hours later, he went to the simulator and ran a mission under the guidance of the flight simulator instructor, Lieutenant Stephen Quick. They ran through all the emergency procedures and a tactical mission. Jan found this time valuable as he was able to make mistakes without having to risk himself and a valuable fighter craft. After the session, he studied and restocked the snack bar and ensured it was fully stocked with beer so they could enjoy a cold one after the day was done. He was pleased during the day when everyone called him Steel Eye, while Pete moaned because he was still Nugget, to Jan's amusement. The rest of the week passed very quickly. Jan flew 2 flights the next day and 1 flight the day after that. The carrier docked back at Nimitz Base on Friday evening, and they were celebrating at his mom and dad's place. When he opened the door to Lorena's quarters, the living room was empty. He walked into the bedroom and saw Lorena totally naked, glistening with oil and the gentle scent of jasmine. Jan said nothing. His mouth was wide open in shock as he never saw her being this forward.
Come here, lover. I want you. Jan stripped off his flight suit and underwear and closed the hatch. They showered together and dressed in nice civilian clothes. She said, Ando, I got orders to take the next transport to Mars. I'm to be assigned to the Sterling.
Holy crap, that's short notice. When is the next transport?
Yeah, tomorrow. My sea bag is already on it.
I'll let Mom and Dad know we can change the dinner plans tonight.
I already told them, so I guess tonight is going to be my going away party as well.
They then went to Admiral Ando's quarters so that Ando and Tanya could wish her well. After a nice dinner, Tran Ando said to Lorena, good luck, honey, and may the wind be at your back. The next day, Jan drove Lorena to the airlock and saw her off. Jan said to her before she left, hey, babe, I'll be there in a month. If you can get some shore leave, let me know and I'll meet you somewhere.
That would be nice, Ando. I'll let you know. They embraced and kissed passionately, and then Lorena, in her dress whites, strode into the airlock to the transport.
The airlock closed, and John watched in the observation port as the transport undocked and headed to the Martian system. As Jan looked at her walking away from him, he had a feeling of foreboding, but could not figure out why.
The transport reached the Martian system and docked with the Star Destroyer UNS 99, the UNS Sterling. Lorena entered the airlock and met the duty officer. She saluted and said, "Permission to come aboard, sir?"
Permission granted, ma'am, the duty officer answered and said, "Lieutenant, let me show you to your quarters. The skipper wants to meet with you at 0800 hours. That should give you enough time to get settled in, but you need to stay in your whites."
She freshened up and went to the commanding officer's ready room. She knocked on the door and waited for the commander to let her in. She heard enter in the door and opened the door and walked into the room. She then took a position of attention and said, "Lieutenant Lorena Taylor reporting to the commanding officer as ordered."
Commander Matthew Pritchard, the ship's commander, looked at his paperwork and said, "Lieutenant Lorena Taylor, you are the daughter of the governor of the Martian colonies, and you graduated in the top 5 of the class of 57. You took an assignment as a weapons officer on the destroyer U.S. Grant from 57 to present, earning high ratings from your previous department head and commander. Engaged to Lieutenant J.G. Jan Ando, assigned to the Saigon Carrier Strike Group. Have I missed anything, Lieutenant?"
No, sir. Although I don't understand how me being the governor's daughter and engaged to an aviator has anything to do with my efficiency.
They do. I need to know everything about my officers in order to determine where their loyalties are.
Excuse me, sir?
As you probably know, the entire crew complement of this ship is Martian. As a result of the Milan Accords, 10% of the Martian command is Martian militia personnel. Every officer on the ship is from the militia, and you're the only officer who graduated from the academy. As a result of this, I need to know more about you to determine your loyalty. Also, I've heard how the academy brainwashes its students. Lorena flinched but said nothing. Plus, I know how your loyalty might be tainted by your relationship with an Earther.
Sir, with all due respect, my loyalty is to whomever my commanding officer and my crew are at the time. With respect, sir, if you have any doubt to my loyalties, why assign me here?
Lieutenant, I have no doubt to your loyalty. I assigned you here because I need a chief tactical officer. My TACO retired due to ill health, and I was looking for a replacement. I saw the records of all the available personnel and decided you were the best candidate for the position.
Lorena thought, it also helps your career to have the governor's daughter as one of your officers, but she said nothing.
Now, if you accept this position, I have the authority under the Accords to grant you a promotion to Lieutenant Commander effective on that date.
I wonder what your plans are, Skipper, Lorena thought. But you know, this is what I have always wanted, especially if you talk to my father. So, no, I don't. So you know I won't turn it down, she said to the commander. Sir, I am honored, and I will do my best to affirm your faith in me.
Very good, Lieutenant Commander. Your promotion is effective right now. Get settled in tonight and get to work tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, I'm going to run an exercise against the Night Stalker. I want you prepared.
Aye, aye, sir.
Dismissed, Commander.
In her quarters, Lieutenant Commander Lorena Taylor turned off the communicator after she left a message to Jan and said that she had arrived. She said to herself, he must be flying. Oh, well, this message should get to him. there are some advantages to being a commander. She smiled, thinking about when they would be together. After he got settled in, she was going to take a short shore leave at the Shangri-La Resort near the polar caps. After all, Ando loved to ski. She reflected on how Jan T. Ando entered her life. She met Jan during his first year at the academy. During that time, she was assigned to Jan's cadet squadron for this year as its tactical officer. And while there, she was hard on Jan and the cadets under her command. She had to because in her class disparaging remarks about her politician father were whispered all the time. She proved herself as a leader repeatedly, and that did not stop the rumors and innuendos. Just when she thought she would be alone all her life because of her family, she saw a person who was disciplined, dedicated individual who strove to be the very best. The man was Jan Ando. She heard rumors he got in because of his father and family fortune, but she discounted them. All she knew that even though he was driven, he did know how to have fun at times. That year she ran a marathon against UCLA. She faltered, but when she looked up to the sideline, she saw Jan running alongside her, urging her on. With his support, she won the marathon. She fell in love with Jan at that time and was surprised to later find out that Jan had been in love with her from the day they met. They spent all their free time studying and discussing their philosophies of life and generally getting to know each other. Their love deepened with each day. Even though they were separated in different classes, they corresponded daily. She graduated fifth in her class and was immediately assigned as a weapons officer on the U.S. Grant assigned to EarthCom. She took to her duties and the drive and dedication that helped her succeed in the academy. She drove the crewmen under her command hard and brought out their individual talents to make them a sharp team. As a result, her weapons crew excelled. She distinguished herself as a leader in the ship readiness exercises and was recognized for her accomplishments all the way up through the chain of command, which led to a rapid promotion to lieutenant. But deep down in her heart, she felt that she had to excel even more to silence the whispers and accusations she felt that were always there. She wanted to be known for her accomplishments and not for her bloodline. She took shore leave to attend Jan's graduation, and she was very proud of him and his accomplishments. She knew that as a valedictorian, he would be going to flight school. When she walked to Jan, she was surprised to see his father and mother and Pete were smiling.
Jan said, Ensign Porter, the ring, please.
Pete went to attention and then handed a massive and very expensive diamond engagement ring to Jan. It always irked her when he showed off how rich he was. Jan went to his knee and asked her to marry him, and she said yes. She did request that the wedding be held off until he finished flight training, as she wanted to progress as much as she could. To her delight, Jan agreed. She frowned as she recalled the secret that she kept from Jan and her family. Her father fought in the war and was badly wounded and almost killed. That made him bitter, and he was obsessed with revenge. When she was old enough to understand, he started to teach her about the one who did this to her beloved father. He taught her to hate him just as much as he did. She wanted to make her father proud, so she decided to join the academy. The way she felt that she could destroy Ando from the inside. Her father understood that she wanted to do and let her eyes her eyes disqualified her from being a pilot, so she despaired of ever killing her father's enemy. She was determined to find a way, because after all, she trained as a teenager under her father's lover, the mysterious Coley Lou, until the killing was second nature to her, and it would be a shame to let that talent go to waste. After the first year at the academy, she considered herself lucky when Janty Ando became a plebe. She decided to use him to gain access to Ando. She was brutal to Jen in his first year and was surprised how well he took to her hazing him. She even took a risk and attempted to slip a knife into him while he was asleep. She was amazed the next day when he got into formation as if nothing happened. She started to get feelings for him and changed her plan. After meeting his mother and father, she felt that they were not the monsters that her father taught her. She wanted to marry Ando and her means to murder. She wanted to marry Ando as her means to murder his father before his eyes.
Incoming communicator rang. It was Jan, and Jan said, "Hello, honey. How was your first day on board?"
Great. I met the skipper. He's exactly as I thought.
Hey, I'm sorry to hear that. How bad do you think it's going to be?
I don't know yet, but he did make me a department head and promoted me to lieutenant commander.
Whoa, great job, baby. I knew you could do it.
I know I could as well, but he gave me a field promotion when there were a lot better qualified people that are out there, and they didn't like the SDF Academy graduates. It sounds like my father pulling strings again, and I hate that. He knows I want my promotions to be based on my merit.
You think there's an ulterior motive?
Yes, I do. But enough of me. How is the flying going?
Great. I flew for the past week now and haven't been chewed out once. We just got done with carrier calls and are preparing for our final deployment evaluation next week. When we pass, I think we'll be deploying afterwards. I figure you and I can meet in 3 months.
I already have made plans for us, so let me know when you might have some free time.
Well, we'll have to play it by ear since I don't know how many ports of call we'll have. Mitcher did not have any during their deployments.
That sounds like a plan. I have to go. I have a lot of work to do before tomorrow.
Okay, love, you're always here with me. He pulled out the locket with her picture that she gave him. It stayed on him always, even when he was flying.
As you are with me, Ando, my love. She pulled out Jen's class ring on a chain that she always wore. Jen smiled, and his communicator went blank.
The next day, she entered the Combat Information Center. The crewman noticed her entrance and said, "Taco on deck."
She said, "As you were," and walked to her seat, which was placed on an elevated dais in the center of the room and gave a 360-degree view of the CIC. Next to her was a seat that the CO or XO would sit at the rare moments that they came in during normal operations. She sat on the chair and nodded to the officer of the watch.
The OW walked to the dais and handed her the report card. Pad. As she reviewed it, the officer started the briefing. There's nothing on the threat board. All systems and sensors show green, and weapon status are green. We've started preparations for tomorrow's exercise.
She finished the report and said, "Very good, carry on." As the OW took his station, a crewman brought her a cup of tea. She said to the crewman, "It looks like you were briefed about me."
The crewman said, "Yes, ma'am. The skipper let us know about the tea you like."
She was somehow very irritated about that statement, so she stood up and said, "All hands, I looked at your records. I looked at your records and know what you can do. I am not in the habit of fixing what is not broken, so keep doing your jobs. In the CIC, I don't want any ruffles or flourishes while you're on duty. The only ones who you announce on deck are the CO and the XO. And I am perfectly capable of getting my own cup of tea, and thank you very much." There were sighs of relief heard throughout the CIC, and she said, "Now carry on." She looked at her repeater scope, which could call. She looked at her repeater scope, which could call up any board in the CIC and toggle to the situation board. She saw that the Sterling was in position alongside the carrier Michener, the flagship of the battle group, who they were attached to for the time being. She also looked at where the other ships were in the group. She also looked where the other ships in the group were deployed. There were 3 more destroyers, 2 cruisers, and 2 frigates. She reviewed the position of the group status board and was satisfied. She contacted the bridge and said, "Bridge CIC, status is green. We are going to conduct CIC combat drills." When the bridge acknowledged, she said on the PA to the crew, "Attention CIC, prepare to run combat simulation." This would allow Lorena to evaluate how the crew handled the situation. She would act as the CO, and her weapons officer would simulate the CIC.
One of the surveillance technicians reported to the TACO the range, bearing, and speed of an intruding ship and how soon it would enter the battle group's exclusion zone. He duly reported to Lorena, acting as the bridge. "Bridge, CIC, we have an unidentified ship bearing 130 Mark 15, speed 950 kph. It'll enter the exclusion zone in 10 minutes. She then simulated sounding general quarters on the repeater scope, saw the ship approaching the exclusion zone. She heard the tactical officer tell the weapons officer to prepare to engage. The weapons officer reported he had the contact and was tracking it.
"TACO bridge, advise me when the contact enters weapon range," Lorena said. The TACO was monitoring the weapon scope, and then the enemy ship enters the exclusion zone.
When the ship entered the zone, the TACO said over the intercom, "Bridge, CIC, unidentified ship entered the zone, and it's not answering our hails. Weapons are enabled, planning missile launch, followed by main gun barrage. Ship will be in weapon range in 3 minutes."
"CIC, you are weapons free." This was to let the CIC know that they were free to engage the enemy ship.
The weapons officer reported, "TACO, this is weapons. Missiles are green and locked in, ready to launch. Bridge, CIC, target in range." At this time, the TACO turned to the channel so the bridge would monitor the launching of the missiles to avoid any miscommunication. The TACO then said, "Fire 2 missiles in salvo. Prepare to fire a second salvo on my command." This command was repeated by the weapons officer. "Missiles away," the missile officer said on the intercom. At this time, both the TACO and CO turned on their scopes to monitor the missile's progress. They also activated stopwatches as a backup so they can monitor time until impact. The missiles impacted 2 minutes later. At this time, the computer sent the damage report to the weapons officer, who reported to TACO, "TACO, weapons, 2 direct hits. Ship is not moving anymore, but they are firing."
"Evasive action, destroy the target."
The TACO said, "Fire second salvo." The missile officer reported the launch of the missiles. Missiles impacted, and the damage report was presented. "Bridge, CIC, enemy ship destroyed. Damage control reports no damage."
"Terminate the exercise. Great work, everyone."
The senior officers were in the commander's wardroom for lunch. Lorena entered the room and took her place at the table. After being served a chicken salad sandwich by a steward, she looked around the room. She saw the XO, Commander Mickelson, the engineer, Lieutenant Commander Kopecki, the chief medical officer, Lieutenant Commander Dr. Reineck, and the navigator, Lieutenant Commander Thomas. They were all Martians, and they were waiting for the commander. As the CO entered the room rose to attention. He waved them down with his hand. They sat, and after the CO was served, they started to eat. Mickelson said to Lorena, "How'd the exercise go?"
It went great, sir. This is a great CIC team. We're going to run through simulations during this watch and the next 2 watches. We should be ready for the Nighthawk tomorrow.
Good, the XO said, as the CO quietly nodded his head. Skipper, how do you want us to approach this exercise tomorrow? The CO said, they're going to have fighter support from that carrier, so I want the first shot before the fighters attack, especially if they send those damn weasels after us. XO, I want you and the TACO to work out a plan of operation for the exercise for me to review tonight. I know this crew can handle fighter attacks, but if we don't have to go through them to take out the Nighthawk, I'll feel a lot better. Yes, sir. Commander Taylor, I'll meet with you at the CIC at 1600.
Aye, sir. Lorena and the XO planned the war game with the Nighthawk. She was part of the thought and work that her team had done on the plan. She needed very little work from her and none from the XO. When they presented to CO, he enthusiastically endorsed it. After a quick dinner in the officer's wardroom, she went to her stateroom and reviewed the plan. She was interrupted in her work by the chime of the communicator. She answered it and saw her father on the screen. She said, "Father, this is a surprise." This was the truth because she rarely heard from him after she entered the academy.
Can't a father talk to his daughter? I know it's been too long, but when I heard that you were being assigned to the Sterling and stationed here, I had to contact you.
She thought, especially since you had a hand in having me assigned here. However, she said, I am pleased that you took the time away from your busy day to contact me.
It is my pleasure. I want to invite you home for dinner. It's been too long since you've been home.
Yes, Father, it has. But we are involved in exercises for the next few days. I'll find out when I can take a short shore leave and let you know.
Don't worry, daughter. If you have any problems getting the time off, please let me know. The screen went blank.
I wonder what that was all about. He made no secret that he is powerful, but to be willing to interrupt an exercise to have me go to dinner is strange. She resumed her work. She arrived at the CIC an hour early and prepared for the upcoming exercise. She had studied the plan over and over during the night. She knew exactly what needed to be done. Now all she had to do was implement it. At the dais, she looked at her clock and she looked at her clock and the repeater scope. She went on to the PA and said, "Status report.
Surveillance report screen. Weapons report screen. Damage control report screen."
When she was satisfied that all the CIC stations were ready, she reported to the bridge. Bridge, CIC reports all status green. When she received acknowledgement from the bridge, she said on the PA, "Okay, people, let's do it." And she looked at the clock.
TACO, surveillance. We have an unidentified contact about 500 kilometers from our exclusion zone. IFF is not responding. This let them know that they had a contact just outside the exclusion zone, which is the area that an enemy can be engaged. This also advised them they did not have their identification friend or foe system on.
Bridge, we have an unidentified contact 500K from the EZ. Recommend general quarters, she said on the intercom to the bridge.
CIC, when is the reliability?
Lorena looked at the repeater scope, which was selected to the surveillance section scope, and reviewed the information, then said 100% reliability. It is a hostile. A moment later, the general quarters alarm sounded. As crew members arrived at the CIC and reported that they were at their stations, Lorena looked at the crew status chart and reported the status to the bridge. The XO then entered the CIC and took his position on the dais next to her. The CO was there in case the captain was incapacitated. The CO would be able to keep the ship fighting, but he was only there to monitor the battle because the CIC was her command.
As she monitored the scope to see how the enemy ship was progressing, she heard, "TACO, surveillance, we have 4 high-speed contacts, exclusion zone minus 100, and not responding to IFF. They are fighters."
Bridge CIC, incoming fighters heading 135 and 225 at 90% reliability.
"Incoming missile alert," was shouted by the defensive sensor operator over the ship's intercom because he had the authority to override the chain to warn all personnel of an attack.
Lorena selected the scope and saw that the fighters had fired a series of missiles. She could feel the ship take an evasive action. She shouted to his defensive weapons operator, "Defense, activate shields, fire countermeasures." To the bridge, she asked, "Bridge CIC, request weapons free?"
"Weapons free authorized," was the response from the bridge, which authorized her to launch offensive weapons.
"Weapons, prepare defensive missiles, target the fighters."
"Defensive missiles ready, targets in range."
"Launch 2 salvos at the targets and fire."
"Missiles away."
At that time, the defensive missile launcher simulated launching 4 missiles. She could see the missiles taking their paths towards the enemy fighters. Despite the fighters' evasive actions, 2 of the missiles destroyed 2 fighters. The remaining fighters retreated.
"1 missile escape countermeasures. Impact in 30 seconds, and we are firing point defense. No effect. Impact in 3, 2, 1. The ship jolted suddenly to simulate the impact. The XO contacted the damage control officer and said, "Damage report." Damage controller said, "XO, hit on starboard shield. Shield's down 80%, no hull breaches." The XO gave the CEO the damage report. Lorena looked at her scope at the exact time. The weapons officer said, "Enemy destroyer in weapons range. All weapons are ready."
She said, "Launch 2 salvos at target." She saw the 4 missiles streak towards the enemy. She smiled because the Sterling got the first shot out. When they impacted the inflicted damage report said they had multiple hull breaches and major damage to their engines. In effect, they were dead in space. "Bridge, this is CIC. We inflicted multiple hull breaches and knocked out their weapons. The enemy is dead in space."
"CIC, fire 2 salvos at the enemy ship." The CO got on the intercom.
Lorena was surprised at the order and asked, "Say again, Bridge?"
I said, "Fire 2 salvos. That's an order."
She turned to the XO, who nodded, so she sighed and said, Launch two salvos at target and fire." She followed the missiles until their inevitable conclusion, and then reported to the bridge. "Bridge CIC, target destroyed." She then ran to the head and threw up. My goodness. During the after action portion, she carried out her duties in an automatic fashion. She still pondered the CO's ruthlessness and wondered what happened to hers. After her watch was done, she left the CIC and went to the CO's wardroom. After being granted permission to enter, while standing at attention, asked, "Sir, why did you give the order to fire?"
Her CO simply said, "Your father taught me that in war, the only good enemy is a dead enemy." Do you have any questions?
"No, sir."
Dismissed. And that is this segment of Radio King Dolphin TV, read by Agent Pepsi 1 and myself. I hope you have enjoyed it, and welcome to Rachel the Rabbit.
Yay!
Welcome here. You know her?
I do not. Just say hello.
Hello, Rachel. Please like and subscribe. And hope you were able to catch enough of it. And again, I hope everybody enjoyed this reading. And you know there will be more of these coming down the road. So what did you think, Agent Pepsi 1? How'd you like reading it?
I did, but I have to say, I should be wearing glasses. I had a really hard time, especially in my living room right now. It's kind of dark, and
oh, you did great though. You did really great. You did really great.
Considering that my allergies are killing me right now with this
no.
pollen out there.
Oh no, that's not good.
It's time of the year.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, let's see. Guys, what did you think? I'm gonna go through some of the chat here. Oh, Legata says encore, more. Oh, there'll be more. I've got some more plans to have Radio King Dolphin TV read. I've got a special Lorena piece later on as we read. So don't miss that. So let's see what the chat is saying. We got some time. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Like formal attire is required, although I myself am in shorts and a Minion shirt. Legata says, yeah, the Lady of the Hour is here. And okay, we did Leopold. Let's see. Looking to see if there are. Legata said, we getting a briefing before the reading and then a debriefing at the end? Of course. Tim says, Agent Pepsi 1, it's a fan of Raymond. All right. In my usual staycation right now from work, going to my annual Lego convention tomorrow and Friday. Oh. The Dolphin is unsupervised. Lord help us. But I think Trike and right now Sandra is back.
See?
Sandra. Hello. Let us all say hello to Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
I did okay. The Trike. Snortapoopus wants some treats. Let's see. Y'all be safe, have fun, take care of your crew, and rock. Let's see. A fighting ferret has his slap shot. Yep. The good news is my bark is worse than my bite. The bad news is I don't bark. Yay, you growl when anyone gets close to the eclairs. Yep, Wild Weasel, you gotta be shitting me. Like catapult, not designed by a hedgehog, I hope. Hey, Pudgy, wherever you are. And hello to Anti-Derivative Jill. Waiting for the wings for the next reading of Radio King Dolphin TV. All right. And Tim confirms, yes, you could tell Raymond was in the U.S. Air Force. Yes, I've listened to some audio from Vietnam, the Linebacker 2 mission, and you hear shotgun a few times. A friend of mine flew that mission that is online. Oh, okay. Send me the link on that. I'd love to hear it. And yes, she got her chance. Matt G wanted you to read it in German.
Oh my God, no.
And Snorter says, cut off a tank top. Va-va-voom. And he covers his eyes. Well, let's see. Special party. Hey, is the Lorena we were talking about to Agent Pepsi 1 being hard and getting the best out of those under her command? Nope. No one is more qualified than our Agent Pepsi 1. You got that right. You got that right.
Thank you.
Agent Pepsi 1. Agent Pepsi 1. That's all I'll sing tonight. My voice is Snort. Does the command chair have magic fingers? Oh. Only Snort. Rachel the rabbit says she said duty as I came in. I like that, Agent Pepsi 1. Just wait till Lorena's time warped into 68 Berlin and she's employed as a double agent. Ooh. Let's see. And Sandra says, back from flying. It says, we can neither confirm nor deny if Raymond behaved good / bad in your absence. Okay. That's kind of sus. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Anybody else want to comment on the reading? I thought it went well. I thought it went really well. You know, it's easier when another person reads it, especially if it's of the female persuasion. I don't do female voices very well. So again, I thank you very much for taking the part of Lorena.
You're so welcome.
And,
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what do you think of the character?
I like her. I mean, she would definitely not be me, though.
Oh.
She would not. No. Oh my God, no. I'm more timid.
Oh, okay. So you're thinking that her ruthlessness.
Oh my God. I mean, she's evil. I mean, she is so evil. I mean, why does she get with her boyfriend? Because she wants to kill him? To get back at his father? I mean, oh God. Yeah, I mean, she is ruthless. Yep. That's not me. That is definitely not me.
Whoa. So beat, she threw up near the end of the mission. Yeah. And Snorty says, Tim and my fat furry butt. All right. I think since we've gone through the greetings, it went through a decent time, and we're going to do show notes. And this is going to be a mellow show notes. Because I haven't figured out how to make it an insane show notes yet. I mean, Saturday that show notes was insane. I will admit that. Okay, so for show notes, this weekend I will be. Give me a second here. Okay. Legata says, who handles ruffians better, Agent Pepsi 1 or Lorena? My vote is for Agent Pepsi 1.
Well, my vote would be for Lorena. Oh my God. No. Jesus, no. No, if I could torture them a little bit, that would be different.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Let's see. Agent Pepsi 1, stick around after the show so we can just do a quick talk about it.
Okay.
All right. So, show notes. As I said, I'm just trying to bring it up. Okay. As I said, for the third time, I will be, Sandra and I will be on an away mission with the family this Saturday. So there will not be a Just Cause on Saturday. However, please be here. Oh, don't you start. Why isn't my present? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
My screen froze. Great. All right. Great. Yep, everything froze. Hold on. Dang. I will be right back, Agent Pepsi 1, if you can just engage with the chat.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Hey, everyone. I normally don't do chats, but I hope y'all had a good time. Trying to read some of this on my stupid old Chromebook, and it's kind of slow. Yeah, it's just time, Legatus. It's just time right now. I am so busy, especially at the beginning of the school year. So, Raven will come back soon. Hopefully, y'all are doing well, and the heat is not getting to you. It's been 117 for the heat index today. Yeah, just like Lorena with all those courses and mission notes. Yeah. Yeah, 6 hours of professional development, and it's just the same every year. It's just the same old stuff. They just want it in a different way. Raymond, help!
I'm here.
Sandra.
So, hi, I figured I'd try to get in here and keep you company for a few minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it sucks to be there by yourself.
Oh my God, I don't do chat. So
Sorry about that. hold on.
Well, I'm glad that you all are back.
Okay. Am I echoing? Yes, I am.
You
No,
sound
I-
okay to me.
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's an echo. Okay. So let's try this again.
Should I run away or do you want me to stay here?
Why don't you run
Stay.
away? You can.
Okay, I'll stay here. I just won't say anything.
Yeah, just
Okay.
in case something happens.
Okay.
All right, let's try this again. Let's try this again. All right. So, as I was saying, for the fourth time, there's an away mission with Sandra and I going to be with the family. And so there will not be a Just Cause on Sunday. But please be here for Sunday. King Dolphin TV, because we will celebrate on Sunday, me hitting over 500 subscribers.
Yes.
This week I hit 500, over 500 subscribers. I am currently at 593 subscribers.
Oh my
So
God.
I think that's worth a party.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm 7 short of 600. So please come and join in the festivities, the celebration, and the insanity as usual on Sunday, unedited, unforgiven, uncensored. You know what? So, and I'd like to thank every one of you who has subscribed. And thanks, Tim. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, we'll find him. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll send a.
Yeah, we'll send a
You know, Tim.
team.
Tim. I'm not going to say anything because I know deep down you like the show, but I may sick. All right. Yeah, because I was ready to sick Snorty on you. All right, let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, ban him. And then eat him. Yeah, just get rid of him. No, don't do that. He's sweet.
Yeah. You had 6 hours of stupid professional development. Yeah. So Legata says just like Lorena with all those courses and mission notes. Yep. And then Sandra came back and saved the day. And Sandra corralled the dolphin and tossed him back into the chair. Yeah, just about like that. Let's see. And
He liked it.
oh, she said I liked it. Well, yeah. Okay, and Snorter Poopa says, take care of human, dolphin, doggo, Dalek, ferret, eagle, hedgehog, and sugar glider. What is a sugar glider? Copyright TM. Copyright TM, a wholly owned subsidiary of King Dolphin TV. All right. Thank you, Snorty. All right. Let's see. Because someone had to for S&Gs. Bravely bold Sir Sandra rode forth from Camelot. She was not afraid. Oh, brave Sir Sandra. Brave Sir Sandra. Hello, Dalek. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? We're just doing show notes. Gotta open up the stupid thing so I can record Dalek. Let's see. So, and let's see. Oh, yeah, there is more show notes. More than just want to make sure. Let's see, make sure Dalek's recorded. All right. So again, this Sunday is the big 500 celebration. Let's see. Okay, we won't end. I'm still got a couple more show notes. Okay. I believe you, Tim. I believe you. And again, Hail Dalek. How you doing, buddy? Let's see. What else is on the show notes? I got to pull my camera because my computer decided to crump on me. And right now, I can't find the Semper Gumby thing that was created because I can't find the Semper Gumby out there. Okay, so the 7th, I don't know what we're going to do yet. I may do an FF review. We may have a Surfside chat. We may continue the 500 celebration on the 7th. Who knows? I don't have a single idea. On the 14th, we'll probably do something new and different if I don't get an interview by then. On the 21st, we're going to have an interview from filmmaker Lance Nielsen. So we will have an interview on the 21st. And I think this Saturday's away mission will be the only one for August, but I am not sure. I will let you know. Okay. I think that's... Oh, gosh. Don't you hate it? Agent Pepsi 1, don't you hate it when like you pass by the taskbar at the bottom of the thing? You just happen to sweep on it and it pops up with the news. The last thing you want to see. Don't you hate that?
I do. Oh my God, I do.
Uh-huh. Let's see. Okay. Legata says, like DVD and all the other YouTubers say, make sure you have not been unsubbed. YouTube does that all the time. Like all the time, it seems. Yes, please make sure, now that we've actually got that high, that you have not been unsubbed. And if so, resub. Raymond, he only said it because of that knock on the door. You know, Tim, my Commodore 64 would have run a heck of a lot better than this thing. I love my Commodore 64.
Oh my God. You know, I don't know about you all, but nothing. They gave us Chromebooks at school that's even slower than mine I have at home.
Oh,
you can't do any work on it whatsoever.
Ah.
Oh, Jesus, it's useless.
No.
But you can't bring your own Chromebook. You can't bring your own laptop. No.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You don't have a single idea, but it sounded like you had several ideas and don't know which one is the winner, chicken dinner. Yep. Oh, great, Dalek. I hope you like it. Just wanted to quickly tell us that the package arrived yesterday. Wow, that was quicker than we thought. Let's see. Tim says, I have a few Commodore 64 games, but no Commodore 64. Snorter Poopus reiterates my saying, Dalek, I'm glad he got it. Let's see. Legata says package. Yeah, we sent him a package. We got a PodCon for him. Sandra says, maybe I should keep coming on like this. At least I can make the chat he puts up go away.
Yes. That's bad.
That is. That is. All right. So, yay. I guess the Postal Service doesn't want to get exterminated for slow service to a Dalek. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. So that is show notes. Again, this Sunday is the big celebration, hitting the 500 mark. Come one, come all, invite your friends, invite your enemies, invite anybody who wants to join in the madness. All right. And now that we have gotten to that spot, well, let's see. Yes, indeed, Legatus. Great, great. I am so glad you got the package and you got it in a decent time frame instead of
Generations.
And generations, or the next ice age. So,
Oh my God.
all right, let me thank everybody who came to listen. We had DJ Play Nice. Thank you very much. We had Tim FKHC 2005. Thank you very much, Tim. Always good to have you here. We had Rachel the Rabbit, our newest newcomer. Please subscribe, Rachel the Rabbit. We had Matt G, alias Taylor Swift, etc., etc., etc. I'll pay for your new name change, Matt G.
God.
Please.
Change it back to Matt G.
Yes, please. Let's take a collection so we can get Matt G's his name back.
Oh my God.
Send it in care of Snorter Poopus Cuber, who says, don't send packages by Arctic Mail. Their service is glacial. Oh. You know where you got to go, Snort. You know where you got to go. Oh, dear. So that is the guests that were here. Did I miss anybody else? I don't think I have. And now let's go to the amazing and wonderful wrenches. Starting out with latecomer, my producer, Sandra. Love you, honey. Thanks for helping out there. I don't know what happened, but thank you for being there and keeping Agent Pepsi 1 company.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Petrifying experience.
I'm not late. I was flying. I know you were flying. And I hope it was a good flight. I'm sure you'll tell me all about it after. Snorter Poopus waddles off to the kitty table. Yep. Okay. We had the first one in, the last one out. Legatus Legionii. Thank you for helping out here, Legatus. And let's see. We had John Randall. Please put for my co-host, my friend, a valued member of the pod. Please put a JRMF out there for John Randall and Mama Fed. Please put that out there. Legata says Sandra was not late. She arrived exactly when she arrived. Sandra's never late. She arrives precisely when she means to. And Sandra's luggage ended up at a different location. Oh, yeah, dear. Okay, so we got Legatus. We got John. Yeah, please put out the JRMF. And thank you to Anti-Derivative Jill. Thank you, Jill. We had Dalek 451 here. Exterminate, and I'm glad you got your hat. We had Max Redstone here. Thank you, Max, for being here. And lastly, but not leastly, Hey, what's this fuzzy blinky stuff? Fix it, Dolphin. Ah, better. Almost. Load up the bus! Super. Dot scream. Hashtag roar. Way to go. Oh, and Agent Pepsi 1, you sure did a heck of a lot better than this Dolphin guy here. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
So, see you Sunday for madness, mayhem, and celebration. All right, so let's see. Jill said, just catching up. Hooray, you finally hit the algorithm. I hope the subscribers keep coming up. I thought it was ridiculous. You were stuck in the 300s for so long. I agree, Jill. I'm glad I did get kick the algorithm. Congratulations on 500, almost 600. Yeah, 7 away. 7 away. Thanks, Dalek. Yeah, so that is, I believe, everybody. Let's see. John, Jill. I said thanks to Jill. Dalek. Got us, Max. Snort. Yep. And thank you very, very much, Agent Pepsi 1, for doing the reading. And you'll be doing more. Don't worry. You will be.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, we haven't heard the last of Agent Pepsi 1 on the radio, King Dolphin TV. All right, everybody, I want to wish you all a wonderful evening. We will see you Sunday, and you all be safe.
Night, everyone.
Night, guys. Love ya. What the? Oh, man.
Is it locked up again?
No, I lost 2 videos.
Oh, my God.
StreamYards, I hate you. I hate you. All right, I guess I'll
Oh
have
my
to do
God.
it this way.
It's like,
I hate this. Let's see. All right, here we go. Yeah.
what? No pop culture breakdown tonight?
Oh.
People have a patient at 6.
Hey, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's
Okay.
get. Do you want to do it in front of the chat, or well, I'm going to shut it down.
Oh, I thought you were shut down already.
Yeah, I'm shutting down now. Good night, everybody.
Night.